yeah, we read it. My name is Laura, and I am one of your hosts.
And my name is Meggie. I am the other host.
Woo! And we are
Woo!
smack dab in the middle of the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, Book 3, The Titan's Curse. Thank you for tuning in. We are excited. We are, there's a breath of life, a spring in our step as we are reading this series.
It's so exciting. I was explaining the Percy Jackson series to my nephew Hugh this past weekend, and I was like, I can't wait for you to read it, buddy, because he started playing Hogwarts Legacy on the TV, and I was like, you've heard
Boo.
of Harry Potter. Get ready for this better series that I wish I had had as a kid. And the minute that I said that Percy was Poseidon's son, his eyes lit up, and he was really excited. And I
Yeah, no,
love
like
that.
again, I don't know who marketed this, but I don't know how this like slipped through the cracks. I know a lot of people who had read it when they were kids. It just wasn't again that like A tier of book series that I think everybody read. So I'm happy.
I know. I feel like there were like a few of our friends that read it and a few like us that didn't. But I wonder if it's because it was a bit past our time because it looks like it came out in mid 2000s. So when was
Oh
that?
no, okay. Well, the third book
2005?
came out in 2007. So what I would have been like seventh grade, you would have been in eighth grade. So I guess we're still like right smack dab in the middle of the age range
Damn.
that this
Okay,
was
so
for.
maybe we just
That's
weren't
not an
locked in.
excuse.
I know, because I just looked at the lightning
I
thief
just
and it
wanted a
says
reason.
a reason that this would have
I just needed
bypassed us
this.
completely because it came
That's
out in
so funny.
2005 apparently, so we were actually right at the peak of we should have read this.
Truly, what a great year. 2005 High School Musical came out, Percy Jackson came out, and we got one of those. We got High School Musical. But
We did also Coach Carter did come out that year too. I'm trying to
amazing
make this
year.
thing of 2026 to digress for 1 minute where you have to do the Coach Carter challenge the entire year. I don't know if I've told you about this, but in the movie Coach Carter says, I need 2,500 push-ups from you and 1,000 suicides by the end of the week. I haven't started the Coach Carter challenge, but that's my challenge to everyone in 2026. Try
You
to
know,
do
I
that.
haven't watched Coach Carter, but maybe I will, given the fact that I need to get on this challenge now. So
Yeah, you got to do it not by the end of the week, but the end of the year. I haven't started yet. I don't
perfect.
know where I'm going to run suicides, but if you catch me at your
Yeah,
local high school,
that
just
makes
stay out of my
sense. I
way.
don't know. My apartment's pretty long. Would that work?
I think you could do suicides.
Yeah,
Your living room, that edge is the first line, and then
yeah.
the free throw line is
Microwave.
the end of the table. The half court
Yeah,
line would probably be your bedroom, and then
yeah.
the end of the apartment is the end of the suicide.
Yeah, that's it. That works.
Painting a visual of Laura's apartment in basketball terms. Anyways,
He's like,
it's
picture this. It's 3 bedrooms. Uh,
yeah, Laura's dripped out there in Chicago.
yeah, I'm dripped out of my 100-year-old building that has cracks everywhere. I can't live in the life of luxury.
And so I digress for a minute. We're gonna hop
We
right
gotta
into
hop. We gotta hop in.
I know, because it's kind of, I think, a long book. I don't know. I read it on desktop, so
And no, it's pretty short. Honestly, this is one of the shorter in the series. Actually,
yeah.
I think second's the shortest, and this is the second shortest one.
Okay, perfect. Well, speaking of the second one, we left off with Thalia being resurrected, who is the daughter
Damn.
of Zeus. Crazy
And I gotta
stuff.
say, that shit was crazy. Could you imagine you get turned into a tree and then you wake up and it's years later and you're somehow just a little bit older and they're like, hey, you're back.
I like that they just don't know what age she is. They're like,
No.
you know your birthday? Good. We don't. We
Yeah,
don't
they're like,
remember it.
you kind of aged some, but not like, like chronologically. You aged in tree years, which like also doesn't make sense.
What's kind of fun for Talia, though, is that it seems like they're taking a bit of a gap year, to be honest. Instead of just going back to academy and learning at school, they're kind of just scouting the academies to see what half-blood, half-humans are in school. So they're just
Yeah.
kind of on a scouting team. That rocks.
Yeah. So much like the first 2 books really take place over summer vacation. This one kind of picks up that, like, we're getting a little bit older. The responsibilities are getting a little bit greater. So Percy's mom is driving Annabeth and Thalia to a main boarding school because it sounds like there's a pair of half-bloods there that Grover has scouted. So it's winter break. So we're getting our first winter seasonal adventure, if you will.
On the way to this Westover Hall, that's the name of the academy, they're apprehended by two teachers. Talia does this cool thing that Percy has not learned yet. Grover should teach him, but it's when you snap your fingers, you can create the mist that goes over
Yeah.
human eyes and they can't really see anything. Suddenly, the teachers believe them. They're like, "Oh, you've been students this whole time," minus the vice principal, who still seems suspicious of them. And if we've
Yeah,
learned
Dr.
anything
Thorne,
at this point,
the vice principal, is a kooky guy. Grover immediately is like, that guy's a monster. And we also get a little bit of some lore. Annabeth is now taller than Percy because, as a girl, she's hit puberty first. And we also get some more info on Annabeth is that her dad's trying to move to San Francisco, and she's not super happy about that because she's an East Coast girl.
yeah, I mean, she's East Coast all the way. Her and Talia are at this all girls school in Brooklyn that Percy's kind of upset that he didn't get to go to, but she's loving it. And just as Annabeth is going to update Percy on the move to San Francisco, Talia is actually yelling at them to dance because they're trying to get out of dancing and looking like they fit in with all of these kids at the school dance. But
Yeah.
Talia's like, "You look weirder sitting at the bleachers. Go dance." So they're dancing, they're, having a conversation. And while they are dancing, he's really nervous about the dancing, mind
I
you.
mean, he's at that age. Who wouldn't be nervous about dancing?
And they look up and they realize the half-blood recruits are gone,
And
so they
also
gotta do
Grover and
something.
Talia are gone. So like things went from 0 to 100 so fast. Um they end up kind of going on the hunt. Percy is now cornering Dr. Thorne, who has the D'Angelo kids. That's the name of the siblings that are half-bloods, the D'Angelos. And he's taking them right outside to the cliff's edge, and he's here to cause some drama.
Yeah, he's this big manticore. He's this big kind of lion thing. And at this cliff's edge, he kind of whistles in his little fingers and he calls a helicopter to come pick them up. And you're going to love this. He's working for this guy called the General, who I kind of imagined is like Kingpin from the 2018 Across the Spider-Verse movie. Just a
I'll be
big
honest,
guy.
anytime somebody just says the general with no context, I think of that one
The
commercial.
commercial? Go to the General and save some time. That
Yeah,
guy.
exactly. That's what I'm like, oh, he's working for that guy. He has money, so it makes sense. But Annabeth, Talia, and Grover are coming to kind of come to the rescue. The D'Angelos don't know what the heck is going on. They're like, we're just at the dance. What the heck's going on? And then we get introduced to an interesting group of people who are also coming to the rescue called the Hunters.
Yeah, all girls aged 10 to 14, they step out of the woods as Dr. Thorne is just kind of shooting missiles from this helicopter. They're not faring very well against Dr. Thorne.
No.
And they step out of the woods, just these beautiful, just girls having a good time to take him down. But as they are taking down Dr. Thorne, Annabeth is on his back and he goes over the cliff.
Yeah. Yeah, and leader of the hunters reveals herself to be Artemis, the god of the hunt, and she's like, I may be 1,000 years old, but here's all my bitches who are all permanently under the age of 13.
She does this cool shit. You don't even realize yet that she's the goddess, but before she does, she holds up her hand, she blows up the helicopter, and she's like, oh, what's up, I'm Artemis.
Yeah, Artemis is awesome. And yeah, and the whole thing is it's like, yeah, a bunch of teen girls who just get to go hunting with her. And Artemis takes this time to tell Bianca and Nico, the name of the two D'Angelo kids. Bianca's the older sister, Nico's the younger brother, that they are half-bloods. So not much time to process it because they're already thrown into the action.
They're thrown into the action at the camp that they are all setting up. They're all gonna just sit here and have camp.
They're gonna camp, I guess, in the backyard of Westover Academy.
Thought it was a really weird choice, but
yeah,
whatever. Talia does blame Percy for Annabeth falling. The thing between Talia and Percy is their relationship is kind of tumultuous, I would say. Like, they don't necessarily get along.
It's almost Talia and Percy are so similar that it's like they can't work together because they're both so impulsive and both very much like, well, I'll just do it myself. And so when you try to work with someone who wants to do it themselves, and you want to do it too, it's not going to work.
Like, I don't know if it's a thing because they're both the kids of the big three, but all of it seems so ego driven. So they are fighting, but Artemis is like, Percy, I want to talk to you. You know what, Percy? You are really special. Let me let you know why you are so special. Usually, I just kind of turn men into animals because at the age that my girls are, 10 to 14, they go crazy over guys, and I don't really get guys, so I just turn you guys into like deer.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's like, it's awesome being a deer. But Percy is like trying to fill Artemis in. He's like, so Annabeth is gone. There was this general guy, and Artemis is like, let me stop you right there. We are all in danger, but I'm gonna go hunt that manticore. Nothing about like rescuing Annabeth. She's just on her own mission, and she basically says, I'm gonna leave Zoe in charge while I'm gone, and you, Bianca, you're about the age of 14. Do you want to become immortal and join the hunters? And at this moment in time, I really thought we were like in for a book long decision of Bianca weighing the pros and cons of being the hunters. But she pledges immediately. She's like, what do I have to do? And she's like, you have to say these 3 words. And Bianca's like, okay.
Can you imagine your older sister being so over being your sister that she immediately is like, I don't have to talk to my younger brother ever again, and I get to be immortal and have all
Yeah.
my girlfriends? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck it, we
Poor
roll.
Nico. He's basically just kind of thrown to the side. Bianca's like, I'm doing my own thing now, which is not having a brother, I guess.
I mean, sadly, if you had caught me between the ages of 10 to 14, Hunger Games has got to be big at this point for us.
Yeah.
And they go, you never have to get married and you're a warrior forever. Yeah.
Kind of awesome.
Where do I sign
Um,
up?
But speaking of brothers, Artemis's brother Apollo is gonna drive in a very cool red car, and he's here to help. He's a helpful guy. He turns his car into a bus, and he's gonna transport everybody back to Camp Half Blood because they've thought it over. Camping outside of the Westover Academy is not gonna work for them. Um, and we get a really funny scene here of the fact that this bus can fly. And Apollo's just like, Talia, you're basically 16. Drive this bus that can fly.
Yeah, exactly. So Talia is up there flying and driving this bus, and she's not really having a good time. No one can figure out why she is so bad. But if you get closer to the Earth, obviously this is Apollo's chariot, so you're gonna burn a ton of shit. But if you get far away from the Earth, it's gonna get really cold. So they're in this Maserati turned bus, and she is just, I mean, not driving well at all.
No. No.
No, 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 no.
She's gonna crash land into the lake at Camp Half Blood, which is good because they made it. And Percy can't help but notice that camp's a little bit different in the winter. He's never been here in anywhere but summer, but the vibes are just quieter overall because a lot of kids obviously are only there for the summer. Percy and Talia are going to go tell Chiron and Mr. D what happened. And Mr. D's like, I'm going to stop you right there. We're not doing a rescue mission for Annabeth. So Percy's like, what the heck? I really thought we'd immediately get the new quest to go rescue Annabeth. What the hell?
And Chiron tries to soften the blow by being like, don't upset Dionysus, don't do it. We gotta go get ready for capture the flag. We gotta go get ready for capture the flag. Forget your little girlfriend in quotations. Go get ready.
Yikes. Yikes. They also get learned that Clarice, our least favorite bully, she's on a quest right now, so she's going to be out on this book. And Talia also reveals that she's learned recently that her mom has passed away, which is kind of another weird thing that she has to deal with, that while she was gone, her mom passed away during that time, and now she's back to life, and she has to process that.
Pretty sad news.
Yeah.
Back at Poseidon Cabin, Percy calls Tyson for the first time. We get a few cameos of Tyson, and he mentions that there is turmoil between the old sea spirits, Aegeus, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, and Oceanus, which I know that one.
Yeah.
And he reports that the Princess Andromeda that Luke is on is sailing far away to the Panama Canal. I will note that this is the first time that we get mentioned that they're of the names of the old gods that came before the Greek gods. Earlier, when they were driving with Apollo, they talked about Helios and Selene.
Mhm.
So we're bringing the Titans into play a little bit more in the third book. I actually don't know if they're the Titans or not. I just thought it was really interesting that they are talking about all of these different gods
Yeah.
within the realms
Yeah,
of places.
100%. That night, Percy, we know he has dreams that reveal what's happening in other places. He's dreaming of Annabeth, who's in this weird setting, but he basically watches her interacting with Luke, who's crushed under what seems to be some sort of rock or boulder. And when Annabeth tries to help him get out, uh, Annabeth basically becomes cursed into permanently having to hold this rock up. So it was a trap. Classic Luke.
Mhm.
And when
Bad
Percy
guy.
wakes up, bad guy, Percy wakes up, he learns that Zoe had a dream about Artemis, that she is also in trouble and kidnapped. But Percy doesn't really like Zoe, so he's not going to ask her about it.
He's not going to ask her about it. Instead, he talks to Chiron about this. And Chiron does mention that a lot of people at the camp do not like Artemis's hunters. They usually will scout people from the Half Blood camp. And specifically, Annabeth had a brochure to join them in her backpack. And Percy doesn't take this well because Percy throughout the book series is starting to realize a little bit of a crush, and as we know, if you join Artemis you can't talk to boys. I do love
Yeah.
that with Artemis. It's like you can't talk to boys, you can't get married, you can't fall in love, but like where do we account lesbianism for it? Like are they your sisters or are they like just like your friends you hang
One of
out
the
with?
unspoken rules of being a hunter, perhaps.
Exactly. Like, I mean, not even like they're 10 to 14. At 14, you probably want to kiss. I don't know. So just,
Hey,
I
what
would join
level of
Artemis.
girls girl are you? Like, who
Exactly. What
knows?
level of girls, girl?
Um, Ambiguous at best because this is a children's book, so they probably will never divulge.
Exactly. Who knows?
Sad, depressing, but
Maybe
it's
just love you.
coded. It's very coded.
Well, they call it Eternal Girls Club, which is
I mean,
fucking awesome.
it rips. Permanent slumber party where you get to go beat shit up. That's awesome. Percy is taking matters into his own hands by trying to sneak into the Oracle's office and try to like get her to speak to him. But when he goes up there, it's just dead silent. So he's very bummed that he like can't, put a coin in and get her to tell him something.
No, she's not wanting to talk to him. No one wants to talk to boys this book, I guess.
No.
No, so it's capture the flag time, and how I read it is it's basically the hunters versus the entire camp. My
Yeah.
favorite beef that is underlying throughout this book is that Aphrodite's kids do not like Artemis's kids because their whole thing is about being in love, and they're like, "Come on!" They called love stupid. So
It's
that's
funny.
going
It's
on.
funny. But Talia and Percy are, of course, going to fight about the loss of Capture the Flag because they're both very stubborn people. And in the midst of this fight, one of my favorite scenes in this book, this mummified oracle who never leaves her upstairs office starts clomping over to the Capture the Flag base and then delivers a prophecy before freezing entirely.
She'll deliver prophecies by like smoke billowing out of her mouth. So I imagine Tali and Persia are fighting with water and Zeus's lightning bolts, and she's just like, "Stop!" It's just smoke billowing
Fog
out of her mouth.
machine. I like to think that she has like a music cue too. It's like a real stage production.
Her music cue is the Vanderpump Rules theme song. They're like, "Why is Raise Your Glass getting louder? She's getting closer." Oh no. So basically, she explains that 3 hunters will go on a quest west alongside 2 camp people, and there will be 2 people lost in this adventure. One will be lost to their parents striking them down, and one will be lost in the land that never rains.
Yes, and we also learned something that about the Titan's curse also being at play here. We don't really know what that curse is, but it's at play. And after this mega prophecy is delivered, but Percy and Grover are tasked with carrying the Oracle back to her office, which is also very funny to me because they're like hitting her on like branches and like the ceiling in the stairwell. They're like, oh shit, fuck, geez.
When they're done bringing the Oracle up to the attic, Talia comes up. She's like, Dionysus is calling a council of all the cabin leaders. Percy, you better hurry up. So they're having a meeting, and Zoe is electing who will go on this quest alongside the hunters. It's going to be her. It's going to be Phoebe, this kind of lumbering, taller woman, and Bianca, because as we know, Bianca is kind of the new hire in the hunters, and she's got to prove herself. And for the campers, Talia immediately volunteers. And the fun thing about Grover in this book is that he is in love with Artemis, who is the goddess of nature, obviously, because he's a satyr. Satyr's whole thing is nature. And so he's just like love bound by the idea of hanging out with her hunters that he's like, I'll go.
Yeah.
Me, I gotta go. Me
He's
too.
like, Salas, I have to go. But basically, when you break it down, that's already 5. The prophecy said only 5 people can go. So Percy is not allowed to go on this quest. And of course, Percy being the person that he is, and the fact that he's been excluded by the boarding school, he can't get into the hunters. This is another notch in that belt. So he is not happy. And Chiron has to be like, hey, Percy, I think this is good because when you and Thalia try to do things together, it gets worse before it gets better.
Yeah, he's like, you're both so headstrong. I don't think it's going to be great. And honestly, you think less when you run into war, which is maybe not a good thing. And he's like, okay, thanks. And he goes, why don't you call your mom? Why don't you go hang out with your mom? So here's Percy doing the Charlie Brown walk. He's feeling dejected. He's feeling abandoned. He calls his mom, and his mom is not only hanging out with this cutie patootie from her studies that is clearly a love interest. She's like, Percy, I can't tell you what to do. If you want to come home, come home. If you want to go after Annabeth, go after Annabeth. Honestly, I would encourage you to go after Annabeth.
Yeah. His mom, who's probably maybe about to get dicked down, is like, I don't know, Percy, make a decision and have that be the decision.
Like, your son is calling you so in distress, and this guy whose name is Paul is like down the hall, and she's like, Paul's coming back. I gotta go.
She's like, I don't know. Go save Annabeth. Don't save Annabeth. I'm busy. I love you. I'm busy. Percy is gonna dream of Annabeth again and finds out that Artemis is captured along with her. He's gonna get the reveal that Annabeth is dying, thus raising the stakes. Interrupting his dream is a knock at his door, which is a common theme in this book, that Percy is constantly being awoken from his slumber. Blackjack, the Black Pegasus, knocks on Percy's door, not ever said if it's with a hoof or with a wing or a snout.
I was just gonna say, is he ramming his head into the door?
It's so funny. The entire cabin is shaking as he's headbutting it. Like, Percy, I need your help with something.
And the best thing about Blackjack and all of his Pegasus horses is they talk like, bro, what's up? I've been waiting for you to wake up.
He's like, hey, boss man. And Percy's like, don't call me boss man. He's like, for sure, boss. I'll stop that, boss.
Like a walking Meggie and Laura bit. So Blackjack is like, oh my god, thank God that you're here. Listen, there's some crazy shit going on in the hippocampi community. Only you can take care of it. And for a minute, I really thought this was going to be a standalone scene. They take Percy to like this cow, half serpent that is tangled in a net, and he's too scared by the sword, so he starts freaking out. So Percy just has to like chew him out with his teeth or something. I really don't know how he gets him out. And then the hippocampi are like, thank you for saving our weird cow snake guy. And I thought that was going to be the whole
everyone's like, yay, he did it. And then Percy just like goes back to camp like very normal. Doesn't tell anybody about what happened because, again, it feels like a very throwaway scene. Yeah. But when he goes back to camp, he's sneaking. He's sneaking for tea, and he's going to find out from Zoe and Bianca that Phoebe isn't going to go on this quest because this shirt that the other campers gave her was essentially booby-trapped with some sort of like light poison, and now she has hives all over her body. So Percy's like, oh, a spot on the quest?
Exactly. But Zoe is like, we shouldn't pick anyone else. And Bianca's like, I don't know if that's a good idea because what if your suspicions about the general are correct? And then they get the sense that maybe someone might be listening. They got to go. And when Percy takes off Annabeth's invisible cap and he unveils himself, Nico, Bianca's little brother, is actually also listening, and he's like begging Percy. He's like, please go with them, please protect my sister, like, I'm begging you. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's new. She's a baby.
Yeah. She doesn't even know what it means to be a hunter, but Percy and Blackjack, they're going to trail this quest. So they are up and at 'em. They're flying over the highway, which I don't know how they're shielding that and what that looks like in the sky. That there's a horse with wings just sailing over everything, but
I don't
they're
either. They like land at the top of the Empire State Building and they're looking down at them driving really fast out the Lincoln Tunnel. And I'm like, then don't be at the top of the Empire State Building. You got to get closer to them.
And Mr. D is gonna spot them when they're on the top of this building, being like, so you think you're gonna leave camp and nobody was gonna notice? And Percy's ready to get in trouble, and Mr. D's like, nah, I don't really care what you do, man. I'm just a guy.
And we get a little bit of backstory on why Mr. D hates Percy specifically so much. He gives a speech about how he fell in love with this girl, Adrian, a girl who he ended up marrying, but she was betrayed by a son of Poseidon. And he's like, typical son of Poseidon out here, selfishly running into battle after his friends. And Percy's like, I don't think that's the worst trait. I want to save my friends. What's wrong
Yeah.
with that?
Yeah. Percy gets pretty close to their next pit stop, invisibly, of course, and he's overhearing that the dynamics aren't great. They're all arguing about where they should go next. So definitely things aren't getting decided well, and it doesn't seem like the group's really meshing together.
No, but they have to decide pretty quick what they're going to do because Dr. Thorne has been following them closely as they drive into Washington, D.C. And when they stop, they get out at the Smithsonian Museum and he's still following them. He goes into this room with Luke, the hunters, and all of them. They don't know that he's there, but Percy obviously knows because he's seen this. And Luke is like, don't worry, we got him where we need him. It's great. And then we suddenly see the commander and he's just a massive guy. The general, he's just so big. And he
Huge.
mentions to Dr. Thorne, he didn't want Annabeth. He's like, you brought me Annabeth. You failed your first mission. I wanted a kid of the big three gods. I wanted Thalia or I wanted Percy. And you know what? I'm going to get them here. So he starts like planting these teeth, and the teeth turn into this zombie skeleton army that is going to go hunt the kids.
Yeah, I do love this scene because they try this twice. The first teeth they plant end up turning into kittens, which is hilarious. And then they're like, go get other teeth. That's not what I wanted. And then they get the skeleton army. But as the skeleton army is rising, they all are like, what's that we all feel? Is that a preteen boy in our mix? So they can feel Percy's essence, if you will, despite him being invisible. And Percy's like, uh-oh, Roadrunner time. Scooby-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And
Yeah,
he's running for it.
he's running for it. He grabs Zoe's fabric that they're about to sniff so they can chase down Zoe and the gang. And instead they grab some of Percy's fabric. So now he is, he's numero uno on the criminal list. He
Yeah.
does meet up with the gang, and Zoe is like, I guess I gotta begrudgingly accept that you're a part of this now.
Exactly. But before they can really continue on with the mission, a lion is going to be there for them to fight. Percy is able to use an ice cream sandwich to distract it enough to destroy it. And
So
by
cool.
defeating the lion, he gets its fur. So he gets a lovely little scarf for the rest of this adventure.
Yeah, it's like the Nemean lion, which apparently Hercules once defeated, so he gets this cool ass
Yeah.
jacket of it, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
Hercules status. He's gonna impress Annabeth
Yeah.
with that. I'll tell you that much.
No,
When he sees her
oh,
again.
100%. And now Zoe is like, okay, Percy, fine, you can come on this frickin' quest. So now the quest is back at 5 people. They're going to keep driving, but not after being chased by both a helicopter that the presumed monsters are in. They have to abandon the van and escape via subway in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, Bianca's like, don't worry, me and Nico grew up in Washington, D.C. The subway, I mean, it's relatively new, but I know where it is and it runs fast. And they're like, this subway looks old as fuck. And then they get up at
Yeah.
the end of the line and it's like this abandoned train homeless camp. And she's like, sorry, I guess shit's changing. I don't really remember what it's like here anymore, I guess. They're like, it was 12
Yeah.
years ago. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so very, very weird. They end up meeting a strange homeless man who essentially motions to them to board a freight train that's carrying a bunch of different cars. So we get a moment of debrief for all of our questers. Percy and Thalia talk a little bit, and we learn that Thalia, back when she was alive the first time, she almost joined the Hunters, but decided against it. And when Percy is alone in one of his cars on the freight train, the homeless guy who helped them suddenly appears, and we learn Apollo has been helping them along the way, and he is incognito as a homeless person.
Exactly. He's just hanging out. Which I feel like should have been the tip off because all of these cars in the train are like Maserati, Mercedes, all these
Yeah.
really nice
I
cars.
was mad that I didn't catch on sooner that it was Apollo. I was like, oh my God, fuck yeah, these are all nice cars.
I know, I didn't catch on either. But I did like there was this one moment. Oh god, and I don't even think that it's really answered later, but as Talia and Percy are talking about how she didn't join the Hunters because it was kind of seemed she didn't join because of Luke, making me wonder if she has a crush on him as well. Zoe told her he will let you down one day. And Percy, high horse, he's like, damn, kind of sucks when Zoe's right. I mean, you're going to have to kill him, so that really sucks. And Talia just stops him in his tracks and is like, hey, did you ever think about why Annabeth wanted to join the Hunters? Yeah, maybe you should think about that. And it eats at me because what does it mean? Is she mad at Percy? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
But that is a conversation that I thought was really interesting. The
Yeah,
homeless guy, also, as we know, Apollo, says a beautiful haiku to promote the podcast Yeah, We Read It. He says, our motto now, dreams like a podcast, downloading truth in my ears. They tell me cool stuff. Thanks, Apollo.
amazing. Obsessed. So thanks, Apollo. Brought to you by Apollo. This night, Percy's having a different type of dream. Instead of dreaming of Artemis or Annabeth, he's having a dream of what appears to be ancient Greece. And it ends up being a dream that's the origins of Riptide and the girl, his sword, and the girl who hands Riptide over to this mysterious gentleman in the story happens to be Zoe. So Percy's waking up being like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Is Zoe like centuries of years old?
Yeah, it seems like she plucked a hair from her head, gave it to this guy to defeat Layden, who I don't know if she fell in love. I think that the guy is just, we don't really know just yet. But he has all of the power of the sea in this trident.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty crazy. And now her sisters don't like her because she fell in love with a man and betrayed her family.
Classic.
Classic always comes back to get. They're in
Oh,
New
so funny.
Mexico now, though, so they could buy
Woo!
some of that nice little like blue teal stone that's in New
Oh
Mexico
yeah,
water
that's a
there
big
if
thing
you
in
want
New
to.
Mexico. I've never been, but they're having
Me
a
neither.
delightful time in New Mexico. Percy finally decides to say, "Hey, what if I talk to the other side character we were introduced in the beginning of this book, Bianca?" He's like,
Yeah,
"Hey, so I don't really know what your deal is."
I don't really know what your deal is, and she's just like, "Is it okay? Is my brother okay with the fact that I joined the Hunters? I really didn't like being his older sister. I just really wanted sister
She's like,
surprise."
I hated it. I hated it so much.
And she's like, Percy, can you promise me that he's safe with you? And he's like, yeah, I'll take care of your brother. Don't worry about it. It seems like for a minute there, Persephone shows up. It's not Persephone, but spring is like popping up in New Mexico. It's looking hot out. Grover is muttering some crazy shit like the gift of the wild is here. And they're like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
But they're gonna
He's gonna
visit.
end up collapsing, which also feeds into this narrative of what the heck is going on here. And then immediately after, the skeleton warriors from the museum, who have, I guess, been trailing them this whole time, show up. They end up fighting them. The skeleton warriors have guns, which is crazy. And we learn that Percy's lion's pelt is bulletproof, which is absolutely insane and equally delightful in my eyes.
they're like, how are we going to kill these skeletons? Because you can't kill the skeletons. Bianca manages to kill one with a knife, and they're like, Bianca, how the fuck did you do that? And she's like, I don't know, it's the same knife that one of the hunter, I think Zoe has.
Yeah.
They're about to be so overrun by these skeletons when the gift of the wild finally shows up in the form of a Ermanthian boar. Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, our resident fact checker of the
Thank you,
season.
Brian.
He clears the skeletons, but it's wild, so he's just chaotic evil. He's just he
And then
turns
he's
on
chasing them. It's bad to worse.
Percy is like, I see a tunnel that we can run this boar off of, and they're running to it, and Talia's like, whoa, 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 but it's over a cliff, and Percy's like, it's fine, we'll use your shield as a sled, we'll go down the hill, and she's got no choice, but she's got to go with him. Boar goes over the cliff. Percy does realize that Thalia is afraid of heights, which is kind of ironically funny because Zeus is the god of the sky. He's like,
And
you're
he's
afraid of
like,
heights?
that's why you were driving the plane bus so badly, is because we were up so high.
Yeah.
Grover has come to and is still babbling nonsense. He's like, guys, this wild boar is a gift from Pan, my favorite god. And what do we have to do? Ride the boar to go further. And everyone's like, I guess we can't argue with that, Grover.
So they're riding this boar west. The boar only gets to the desert, and they're like, quick, well, the boar is eating an entire cactus. We gotta go to our next challenge while he's distracted. And that is this junkyard. That seems to be the god's junkyard. It's Hephaestus's junkyard of shit that's like, don't take anything from here. Don't do it. They set up camp for the night. Grover, literally one of my favorite plots. He's thinking about how close to Pan he was, and he's like, I know what it was. Finally, it's coffee. I gotta go back to, once we're done with this, I'm going back to New Mexico. I'm gonna drink as much coffee as humanly possible. So there's like a soft plot line of Grover getting addicted to espresso.
Yeah, it's so funny. He's like, that's the key. That's how I get to Pan. Um,
Exactly.
Everybody's kind of getting some more tea on Bianca and Nico and their whole backstory. And they're kind of like, how'd you end up in Maine? Like, how did nobody else like kind of follow you? And Bianca drops what is probably one of the greatest twists in this book, or callbacks even too, that I don't know, Bianca and Nico were kind of in this hotel in Vegas for a while. And then when they got out, they were whisked off to Maine. And we learn that Bianca and Nico were at none other than the Lotus Hotel from the very first book. And then after asking Bianca who was the last president, they realize they were in that hotel for 70 years.
Yeah, she says surely it was FDR, which places them around like the 1930s, and they're like, no, it was not Franklin D. Roosevelt. That was not the last president. So she also doesn't really want to talk about it. They're like, who took you out of there? And she's like, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. But luckily, she is cut off because Aries shows up in a limo, which I thought was so funny. He says to Percy, I want to talk alone, and you better be nice in front of the missus. And he's like, who are you talking about? And he gets in the limo, and it's Aphrodite. And
I
she is
love this
so
scene
funny.
so much. Oh my God.
She's incredible. He does say that she looks like, in trying to explain to the reader what she looks like, he's like, imagine the most beautiful woman, like a really attractive actress. For a minute there, she looked like Annabeth, and then she looked like this actress, and I was like, oh my god, cute. I was kicking my feet at that moment.
I do kind of love the kind of like soft realization that Percy's having that he's like, I kind of like Annabeth.
I know. And so Aphrodite's like, listen, I don't care about your friends. I want to know about you. Why are you on this quest? And he's like, I got to save Artemis. And she's like, no, no, no. What's the real reason? He's like, I don't know, for my friend Annabeth. And she's like, OMG, that's so cute. Even the way you're saying it is so cute. You're
She's
blushing.
like, obsessed, a quest for true love. I'm so in. That's awesome. I love that. And he's
And
like, whoa, 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 whoa.
it's so funny too because she's like, "Ugh, I've just been like dying for a good tragic love story. I haven't had one in a while." And he's like, "What
And
do you
he's
mean?"
like, wait, tragic?
And she's she's just saying other shit, like looking at him. It's the most backhanded shit. She'll be like, "I just wish my daughters would break more hearts like you." Like, ugh, it's so cute. And I was like,
And she's
"This
like, you know what,
rocks."
Percy, I'm not going to help you on this quest, but I am going to find ways to make this more interesting because I really think we need more conflict here. Which is also like, wait, what?
That's so funny. So she's like, She's like, okay, you can get out of my limo, bye. And Ares is like, listen, I really want to kill you, but I've heard that you're gonna start the biggest war yet. So I'm not gonna do that. And also, my little hot chick in the limo kind of looks at you like a soap opera. So I'm gonna keep you around for her
Yeah,
entertainment.
the girl I like, she likes you, so we're good for now. The next morning, they have to trek through the gods' junkyard, and the rule is simple here: you just got to make it through. You're not allowed to take anything, but the dig is everything in this junkyard is so freaking cool.
It's so cool. There's like a bow, there's like a skateboard,
There's
there's
like
just all this random
crowns, there's
shit. There's
jewels, like there's you could make some money here. You could get some cool stuff.
And of course, there's this giant Talos who is guarding Hephaestus's junkyard. Someone takes something. You would think Bianca's gonna take something cool like the bow or again the skateboard. No, she takes a tiny figurine and she
Yeah.
wants to get it to her brother, and that is the reason this massive giant, this Titan, is like fighting them now.
Yeah, so a little bit of backstory. Nico collects these little Grecian figurines and she finds the one that he's missing. So it's very sweet that she takes it, but it's also like, girl, you weren't supposed to take anything and now they're all fucked.
Mhm.
So over this battle for a few pages, they basically decide since this monster is kind of like a contraption robot that's all strung together, Percy's like, I wonder if I can get inside of it and find like a destruct button. And Bianca's like, this is my fault. I'm going to do it. So Bianca manages to get inside, stop it, make this thing collapse and fall apart, but they do not find her out of the rubble of that destruction.
No, they can't find her in this giant's ruins, which fulfills the prophecy of one will be lost in the land without rain. So, pretty bummer.
Ban.
Percy doesn't want to take a moment to like grieve just because he can tell that Zoe is having a really hard time with this. So, him and Talia are going to keep kind of trudging forward. They get to a canyon and they snake their way down this canyon to a river with canoes that they take upstream. And while they are kind of riding, Talia goes with Grover and asks Percy to ride with Zoe, who's again essentially comatose since losing Bianca. She's just
Yeah.
like really beating herself up for picking Bianca. She's like, this was way too early of a quest. I shouldn't have done it. I just really want someone to take over my lieutenant post, because I feel like such a failure for losing Artemis.
Yeah, yeah. So not great. He also learns a little bit more about Zoe's backstory that she was exiled. So she's carrying a lot of baggage with her. They ultimately end up getting to the Hoover Dam, which a place I've never been, nor could I easily name what state it's in. And they realize
I
that
don't know either.
yeah. Well, maybe we'll look it up, or somebody could email us where the Hoover Dam
Email
is.
us where the Hoover Dam is.
Just a simple fact. Someone's just going to be like, it's here. But it's only 2 more days till the winter solstice. So they got to pick up speed because they are running out of time to get all of this done before the council happens.
Yeah, but they want to like stop at the Hoover Dam gift shop
Gosh,
first. They
stop
just
at the dam.
want to get some snacks, some recharge. As Percy is going into this gift shop, he notices Bessie mooing from back down at the river. He looks
That's
over and
our
he's like,
girl.
Bessie, well, little Miss Water Serpent cow guy, what do you need from me? And she's like, there's trouble ahead. And then more zombie soldiers show up. He goes down this elevator with a tour group because there's nothing to go but down. And as he's like he's on edge, he's backed in this hallway, he has Riptide out. There's this girl that sneezes and he accidentally like runs the knife through her, but she's mortal, so it's not going to kill her. But she can see a little bit what's happening. The mist doesn't really work on every human, but she does help him out by like letting him hide in the bathroom before as the zombies
Yeah.
run by, and then she's like, coast is clear, you can go back up.
Yeah, and so he reunites with the group, and they're about to be absolutely cornered by these skeletons. And he's like, please, Talia, please just ask your dad for help. You never call in any favors to him. And Talia's like,
Mhm.
fine. So she makes a little prayer asking her dad for help. And lo and behold, these 2 giant, like bronze angel statues that they're standing next to come to life and just obliterate these skeletons. And they're like, huh, So I guess that's what happens when you ask Zeus for help, and he answers. And to help them even further, the bronze angel statues, because they're angels, they can fly, and they're going to carry them to San Francisco, which is exactly where they need to go.
They fly them to San Francisco. They're having the time of their life. They're like, oh my God, do you remember that last time we were in San Francisco? We went out drinking. We saw those baddies. We took them home. One of them is like, Henry, stop talking. We're in front of children. And then they drop them off in San Francisco and they're like, you know what? We're usually statues most of the time. We're going to go out while we're here. So seems like it's their day. It's
They're
really
having the best time. They're like, this is awesome. They're like, we're back in the place where Full House was filmed.
So they're going to go check out the Full House. They're probably gonna bring a bottle of red wine there. But
yeah.
Percy, they gotta go on their next journey, which is finding Nereus, the old man of the sea. And Zoe's just like, oh yeah, just follow the smell. We're gonna go to Goodwill. We're gonna get in the homeless camp line. We're gonna just follow the smell. You're gonna find him that way. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah. And Percy ends up getting this homeless man, jumps into the water with him, is able to basically, I don't know, headlock him to basically be like, fine, what do you want?
Because the whole thing is if you just hold on to him while he's just trying to wiggle you off, you get to ask him one question, which is kind of funny.
But it doesn't go very well. Percy decides to ask him, like, where is Artemis's monster? And he basically just says, somewhere over here. Yeah.
Just here.
It's just, but like, that's not helpful. And so he's like, gotcha. And he gets the heck out of there. But Bessie's back. Bessie's followed them all the way here. And everybody's like, why are you calling this Ophiuchorus Bessie? And he's like, Ophio, what? That's Bessie.
That's Bessie. And luckily Grover can understand the Ophiuchorus. He is saying that he is running from bad people, actually, who are almost there. And then Zoe is like, wait, oh my God, Bessie's the animal that we have to kill. It's actually, so it's kind of a funny thing. There's power in killing innocents. So you were expecting this big monster, but no, we gotta kill this cute little cow.
This really cute little cow mermaid. And Percy doesn't want to do that. He's like, why would we sacrifice Bessie? She's great. But Dr. Thorne arrives as they're kind of at this fork in the road of, do we sacrifice Bessie or not? And he's on his own mission now, which is hilarious. He's like, I need to destroy you because the general is mad at me and I want to prove to him that I'm not an idiot.
And you know what? He's not doing the worst job, because his whole job is to talk Thalia into killing the cow, taking its entrails, bringing it up to Mount Olympus, and then she'll get all of the power of her 16th birthday to just overthrow Mount Olympus. And she's really close. She's thinking about how Zeus kind of never does anything for her. Yeah. And Percy is like, but do you remember he just brought the angels? That was kind of a huge thing.
Yeah. That was kind of awesome. He's saying, look how cute Bessie is. But Dr. Thorne, like, is laid on so thick. He's like, why else do you think Kronos would bring you back to life? And Percy, he has to call in a redirect. He calls camp. He's like, Chiron will know what to do. Chiron does not answer. Mr. D answers, and Percy's like, oh God, Mr. D, the bad things are happening. Mr. D, very unhelpful. And then he's like, Mr. D, will you just please help me?
And he's like, finally, kids these days having respect and saying please. So he snaps his fingers. All of the soldiers go crazy. They just lose their minds, which is kind of an awesome superpower.
Yeah.
The superpower is just getting drunk and making people go insane. That sounds like my everyday life. That's awesome. So the whole other side's crazy. This momentary insanity is a great time for them to escape. And luckily Zoe is like, fuck, God, I know where we gotta go next. And they're like, that's great. Where? And she's like, we gotta go home. And the thing about home is the people don't like her back at home. Her mom, Pleione, was like a water goddess who used to live in this garden that was at the edge of the west. And there was a golden apple in a tree with a dragon guarding it. But when she created Riptide, she also helped the guy who she loved kind of like best her dad get around, grab one of these golden apples. The golden apple is immortality. So yeah, her family's like not too happy about that.
Yeah, in this mythic garden, you can only access it once a day at like, or twice a day, once at like sunrise and once at sunset. So like right when the horizon line starts. So
Mhm.
they have actually a time limit to get there. Before they make the trek, Grover and Bessie give a bid to adieu, and they're going to get back to camp because they're like, you don't really need us anymore, right? So they're gonna get the f out of there.
Yeah, he has to give Poseidon a sacrifice, so he's like, fuck, I guess I'll throw in my cool lion coat into the river. And he pieces together at this moment the guy who Zoe fell in love with, who she betrayed her family for. He throws this lion pelt into the river and he goes, because I'm stronger and I don't need to be like Hercules. And Zoe in that moment trusts him. Yeah.
Damn. Damn. Okay, Percy.
Not all
Um,
men.
not all men are Hercules. That is for sure.
Mm-mm-mm.
They realize they're not going to make it to this garden on foot. By the time they need to get there, so they're like, "What are we going to do? Who are we going to ask for help? What if we went to Annabeth's dad's place?" And yeah, that's what they're going to do. They're going to go ask Mr.
Oh
Annabeth
my
for some
god,
fucking help.
Percy! While you're there, ask for her hand. Just do it.
And I think there's such importance in this scene because it's like Annabeth, we know, doesn't have the greatest relationship with her dad. And Percy even mentions it that he's expecting this very like stern, very strict, very kind of horrible guy. And when we get there, Annabeth's dad's a really nice guy who cares a lot about Annabeth and is truly doing his best. And he's also just like a really like nerdy guy who loves war history.
Yeah, and you're expecting the stepmom, who essentially was also kind of portrayed as not the best, to be kind of mean. She's giving them cookies. She's making
Yeah.
them peanut butter and jelly. And I like this too because it's such a juxtaposition from the beginning when Percy's mom is dropping him off at Westover, and he's like, God, mom, you're embarrassing me. And Talia's like, your mom's cool. Your
Yeah.
mom's cool. What are you talking about? Oh, kids.
Oh, kids never understand.
Never
But
understand.
they basically are like, "Hey, Mr. Annabeth, would you give us your car that we could drive?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll come with you." And they're like, "You are not allowed to do that. You are very mortal." And he's like, "Understood. Here's my keys."
So they're pulling up to Mount Tamalpais, the Mountain of Despair, where like the mist is very heavy. It's gonna there's gonna be a lot of trickery. They
Yeah,
notice
Luke's
this
ship is docked there, so they're on the right track.
they're on the right track. Talia on instinct feels like something bad is going to happen, so they jump out of the car. Bam! It's hit by lightning. Sorry,
Damn.
Mr. Chase, you gave up your car to kids, and it got
I Hey,
pulverized.
if there's anything that I know about Mr. Chase, he probably has a really good insurance warranty on that car.
That's
Um,
true.
as they get into the garden, women stop them. They recognize Zoe immediately. They're like, "What the heck are you doing here?" And Zoe, she's on a mission. The dragon is sleeping, Ladon, and she ends up waking up the dragon to distract it so Percy and Talia can keep going forward to the path that he's blocking.
And they're almost to the top of the mountain, and when the dragon whips around, they're taking off running. They get there. Zoe is towing after them, but she kind of gets bit a little bit in the kerfuffle, and she's really masking how bad it actually is. They get to the top, they get to the ruins of Mount Othris.
Orthus?
Brian, you're gonna have a great time fact checking
Brian's
this.
gonna be like, "Guys, you're asking too much of me."
The mountain fortress of the Titans, for those of you who want to Google, but it's not good it's here because this mountain is actually Atlas's mountain. It's where he holds up the sky. And so that was the trick. That was the dream that they kept seeing, was everyone taking over from Atlas holding the sky, and now Artemis is holding the sky because she took it from Annabeth.
Yeah, so lots of trickery here, and the whole gang is here. The general, Kronos's tomb that they somehow wheeled up this mountain, I guess. Luke is there. Annabeth, obviously holding the sky, as Meggie said. And we get the big reveal that the general is Atlas, and Atlas is Zoe's dad. So big dynamics here. And Luke immediately is like, "Talia, nice to see you. I think you should consider joining Kronos in the fight to defeat Mount Olympus." And Talia is skeptical about this. And basically, the fight begins now.
It is. And also, I will say there's a bit of a change in Luke here because he seems to almost be like panicky. He's like,
Yes.
Talia, please call Bessie here. You have to do it. Otherwise, he'll just use the other way. It's so vague. It doesn't really
Yeah.
understand what he is saying. And Talia just is like, I, we're not going to fight together, Luke. Like, you aren't you anymore. He's like begging. He's like, you're going to die, please. But there's no time. They got to fight.
They
So
gotta fight.
the move that I kind of love, like the thing about Percy that just cracks me up is he just has the gusto of someone who is not a 14-year-old boy. He immediately
No.
attacks Atlas. He's like, well, I guess Talia's
Percy,
attacking me.
unfortunately, is the physical representation of his frontal lobe has not developed yet.
No,
He's like,
no.
just action. He goes for Atlas, which is an insane pull to go for the strongest person in the room.
He goes for
But
Atlas. Immortals can't like fight unless a hero starts it, and then he's like, perfect. And what's worse is Ares' curse is finally coming into play about when you need your sword most, it will like defeat you. I don't know.
yeah.
He's losing bad.
Yeah, so his sword's not gonna work for this, and hey, that's gonna happen when you're older too, buddy, if you know what I mean.
This is an ad for
We're sponsored
enhancement
by ED
drugs.
Medicine. Percy Percy is so quick on his feet though. He immediately takes the sky from Artemis because he's like, she can fight, she's a god, so I'll just hold up the sky for a little bit. And he immediately is like, this fucking sucks. The sky's really heavy. But Artemis and Atlas are able to go toe for toe. So this was actually the right call.
Thank God, because it says at one point that he feels like his vertebrae is being fused together, and I was like, ow, oh my God, that's so painful.
I hate that.
So Artemis is fighting Atlas. The plan that they have figured out, by mentally you're just like both on lock, mind meld, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Artemis is fighting Atlas. She's pushing him back towards the sky so he can take Percy's spot. Just as she's about to defeat Atlas, Zoe like knocks him off kilter, and Artemis does this move where she uses his javelin that he has stabbed into the ground next to her, and she like flings him back with the other end, and so he lands on his back under the sky. He's like oof, and then Percy rolls out, and then Artemis is back under, or no, Atlas is back under holding the sky.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
sorry
they
about that.
maneuver him so they have no choice but to get him under the sky and make him take it back. And in this kerfuffle, Zoe, who tried to shoot an arrow at Atlas, got launched into a pile of rocks. So win and loss all in the same, where Atlas is stuck under the sky and no one's taken that back from him. And Zoe is worse for wear. But this fight isn't over because Luke and Thalia are again going at it, and they end up pushing Luke off of a cliff, and they're like, we did it. He's gone. He pushed off this cliff. That guy looks pretty dead. So they're kind of like, yay?
And Annabeth keeps being like, I don't think Luke is dead. And Percy's like, ugh, why are we still talking about Luke?
He's like, God, I'm just as hot and tall as Luke, probably one day.
So Luke is like not dead, but they think that he might be dead. That's a whole thing.
Yeah, and then they're gonna go over to Zoe, and they realize if this rock thing didn't get her, that poison from the dragon is setting in. And what's worse is defeating Atlas and Luke wasn't enough. There's a whole like army that is approaching them, and none other to save the day. Who comes flying in on their model plane that they've restructured themselves is Annabeth's dad, Mr. Chase, in an awesome scene where he is using an active gun on his vintage plane that he's built bullets from like melted down mythic metal to destroy this mythic army.
Yeah, he's got like these celestial bronze bullets that he's just letting rip. And then Annabeth is like, Dad, the chariot's here. We gotta go. And he's like, all right. So they fly to Crissy Field, which I'm assuming is a place in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And Zoe is dying. So she is actually the one who is going to fall by a parent's hand because she took Atlas's final blow.
Yeah.
I was getting very emotional. I wrote that I
This
was
scene's
crying
really
at this point
sweet because it's
because
like
it's
go
so
ahead,
cute.
Maggie.
Artemis like takes her spirit and puts her up in the stars as the huntress, so she becomes a constellation.
Isn't that so nice? Yeah, no, it's a very, very like sweet scene, all things considered. But Artemis is like, all right, time for the Winter Solstice Council back on top of Mount Olympus. I'll see you guys there. So Artemis jets away on her chariot off to Olympus, and Annabeth ends up apologizing to her dad because he saved all of their asses. So that was really awesome of him, and she's definitely way too hard on him.
I know.
Um, and none other than Blackjack and some of his Pegasus friends come to take them back to Mount Olympus as well.
They're going there for the Winter Solstice Council of the Gods. Annabeth does thank Percy for saving her. She once again is like, I really don't think Luke is dead. I'm pretty sure he's under Kronos' spell and we have to save him. And Percy is like, why are we still talking about him? He's so annoyed that she could still have any feelings for him, which, I mean, to be fair, he does keep trying to kill you. Like, on a friend level, not even a crush level. I'd be
Yeah.
like, drop this guy. He sucks. They get to Mount Olympus. All the gods are sitting in their thrones shaped like a U. Grover's there with Bessie. And it seems like all the gods, minus Aris and Athena, which Annabeth is not very thrilled about, they're like, you know what your reward is? We're not going to disintegrate you. We're not
Yeah.
going to kill you. Artemis is like, this isn't justice. We need to give them like an actual award. And they're like, what do you mean? We're sparing their lives.
Yeah, what do you mean? We're not going to kill them. We're going to let their prophecy play out. Isn't that enough? And the gods are also kind of in now. They're like, okay, we get it. Mount Orthus is a big deal and we have to work to stop them. So that's another decision that comes from this.
It is.
Um,
And then there's also a thing that I am excited about. So they're like, fine, you know what? We're going to spare you, but we got to destroy the cow. Percy's like tugging at Poseidon's Tommy Bahama
he's like,
shorts. He's like, not Bessie, Dad, please. And Poseidon's like, let's put a pin in the cow thing for now.
yeah. And so all of the gods agreed to get like Bessie her own personal like aquarium on Mount Olympus so they can like watch over her. It is so silly. Um Artemis is going to then ask Thalia to join the hunt. And Thalia, in a surprising turn, agrees. And Percy, shocked, she basically turns to Percy and is like, this way I don't have to turn 16. This whole prophecy of one of the big three's kids turning 16, I don't want to be it. I almost broke today really easily. And I think that's better if it's kept on you. So good luck, my guy.
So good luck. And then
And Percy,
they come back to the cow again. They're like, okay, but if it's gonna be him, we don't trust him and the cow. And they're like, he's not gonna kill the cow. Leave the
no.
cow in the enclosure.
And they're like, okay, we'll really put a pin in the cow. And then they decide to throw a big party. So I guess like that's the reward.
And Percy's kind of like making his way. He's having his big chats. He's talking to Poseidon. He's talking about how Luke is alive. And okay, so Luke is under the protection of older sea spirits, but Poseidon will try his best to defeat his ship, making me again wonder if these older spirits are like the Titans that came before.
Yeah. But Poseidon does actually confirm. He's like, Percy, Luke is still alive, so you need to pull back on that one.
You need to pull back. Strike one for Percy. Strike two comes very quickly because Athena comes over to talk to him and is like, listen, I don't regret choosing to kill you. You're really dangerous. And also, I don't really like your friendship with my daughter. And he's like, what the hell does that mean? What is it? Why is everyone saying they don't want me and Annabeth together? And she goes, because your fatal flaw is loyalty. And I know you're going to think that's a good thing, but you're always trying to save your friends or your family. You would sacrifice the world for a friend. It's not good. So he's like,
she's like, that's not what we need right now.
it's not what we need. He's really down in the dumps, and Annabeth comes over, and they're gonna like have a dance because he still owes her a dance from the beginning of the book. And she's like, by the way, Percy, when Thalia took over the lieutenant thing, what were you trying to tell me? Because when Artemis was like, one of you is going to be a lieutenant, he's really thinking it's Annabeth, and he turns to Annabeth basically being like, please don't do it. I really don't want you to be, because again, they can't date boys. I don't know if that's what it is, but that's gotta be why he was begging.
They end up going back to camp after this lovely party, and we get a lovely few pages of wrap up here First, Percy calls Tyson. We learn that Tyson's been killing it making all of this weaponry. And so he's going to get a vacation next summer so he can come back to camp.
Really exciting stuff. He calls his mom. His mom wants him off the phone immediately, as fast as possible, because she is happy with Paul. They were holding hands. That's basically it. She's like, I gotta go kiss my man. Get off this phone.
Yeah, she's like, I'm empty nester and I'm loving it. Chiron is saying to Percy now that they really need to prepare him for what is next. You know, they've been very hush hush about it, but it's time to kind of move into that next level. And then we get a moment with Nico, who is very, very upset with Percy because Bianca did not come back from this quest. And he's saying things like he can see her in the fields of Asphodel, which is strange because it's like, you're a child. What do you know about all of this?
Exactly. And as he is talking to Percy about how upset he is with him, some of Atlas's zombie skeletons show up. Nico is having a temper tantrum. He is yelling he hates them. He wishes they were dead. The ground schisms opens up, swallows them whole. And he's also now yelling at Percy, I hate you too. Luckily, the ground only turns into a sheet of ice that he trips on. But Percy realizes that Nico and Bianca were kids of Hades. So kids of the other three, because they were out of commission from Vegas, he didn't actually break any of the rules because he had these kids before World War II. But now Nico has run off because he is so upset. Is he going to join Luke? I really don't know.
I don't know. But what's also crazy is they lie to Chiron about Nico. They don't tell him anything. They're like, maybe we shouldn't say anything right now. And if there's one thing to end this book on, it was not this. It is Grover runs into the room and says, everybody, Pan has spoken to me. And he sent me this letter that says, I await you. So lots to unpack in the fourth book. Coming soon. The Battle of the Labyrinth.
The Battle of the Labyrinth. Woo, Minotaur time, maybe. But for this book, for the third book, Artemis's Hunters was easily my favorite edition, I think, so far to the Percy Jackson universe. And we were thinking that in this Eternal Girls Club, there's got to be some additional rules that you can maybe opt into for fun if you want. So these are just like top 5 add-ons to the Artemis Club that we would have if we could maybe be in it.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
I can go first. Yeah, that works. For number 5, we were thinking a shared clothes closet. All girls gotta have it. Like the Clueless.
Yeah. Iconic.
Whoever wakes up earliest gets to pick theirs first. Oh, that's a good idea.
Wow, that's a good addition. Number 4, great idea for Meg that once a year they get to do a musical, a spring musical for the Hunters. But everybody gets to play whatever part that they want. And Maggie gave the example of it's High School Musical, but they're all Sharpay, which I would watch.
I think it'd be really funny. Number 3 was Laura's idea. I'm honestly so smart. I wish this existed in real life. A permanent hair tie that never breaks. And you never lose it. It's like Riptide. It always goes up in your
amazing. Pocket. It's always on my wrist. I'd love that. Number 2, that every once in a while you have to take a weekend night shift to be the drunk girl in the girls' bathroom at a bar, giving all of the other girls lots of hype and advice and compliments. I think that would be fun.
And number 1, really exciting stuff. Every year you get to kill a male politician, and I'd even go so far as throwing in a billionaire. Whichever one you want.
You have to hunt the male politician, then you have to kill him. Oops.
Oh my god, the world's most dangerous game.
Oops. But awesome. That's it for this episode. We did it, and we'll be back with the 4th book next week. Yeah?
Yeah. I didn't have anything to add.
I was like, are you going to say anything? All right, email us. We love you. Subscribe. Thanks.
We're still recording. Bye.